Hello, my name is Chris Cobb. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Holocaust during World War II and a typical American's perspective, my grandmother, of the Holocaust. Imagine me in late December 2007, standing in the cold, all bundled up. My fists are wrenching. I can feel my fingertips burning. I'm waiting in line to get into the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I've heard of the Holocaust before and the Anne Frank house, and I'm not really sure what to expect. After entering the house, I start to realize what the groups of people that were persecuted by the Nazis must have had to go through during the Holocaust. There were so many pictures on the walls of the concentration camps and of the many victims of the Holocaust. Actually seeing how half of the house was hidden for Anne Frank and her family was spectacular and really put my emotions in a turmoil. After exiting the Anne Frank house, I began to wonder, how did my grandmother perceive the Holocaust during the time that it actually occurred and what was going through her head? So let's start with a brief overview of what the Holocaust is. The Holocaust was the slaughter of 6 million Jews and 5 million other individuals by the Nazis over the period of 1933 until 1945. In January 1933, the first concentration camp was opened, and they continued to be opened and used until the end of World War II and the fall of the Third Reich on May 8, 1945. The mere fact that the Holocaust represents the ending of life for 11 million individuals is a difficult concept to understand. The Holocaust was the killing of people for what they were rather than who they were, and this is a very important point. Between 1942 and 1944, the Nazis decided to move the undesirable populations from the ghettos they were residing in to extermination camps. These camps were killing centers made in Poland that were equipped with gas chambers built for the sole purpose of killing its occupants. A meeting of senior German officials in January 1942 coined the Nazi signature phrase of the final solution to the Jewish question, which became the German nation's official policy. This marked the first time ever that a state advocated the murder of an entire population of individuals. Now that you know something about the Holocaust, let's look at how my grandmother perceived this event and her opinions on its impact on our society today. My grandmother was born in 1928 and was in her early teens during the time of World War II. She said that every movie she saw every week had a newsreel, and it showed what happened during that week overseas. They would show the prisoners being packed into the trains, and they would say they didn't really know where they were going, so their future was not known at this point. She said then, eventually, on the newsreels, they would show mass open graves of naked bodies as the Allied forces were making their way across France and Germany. The news people, she said, however, were able to get film even before the troops landed in Normandy. She said nobody wanted to be in the war at first because she didn't think it was our war. Then when they saw that England was going to be destroyed, everyone wanted to enter. And then seeing the bodies fueled everyone wanting to join in the fight. They weren't told everything during the war, she said, because the news was very censored. She said she was horrified that somebody could hate Jews so much and that humans could do this to other people. She said she was just stunned. She didn't know how to react. Everyone else around her felt the same way. She said the country came together as never before. She said everyone believed we were fighting for our lives to save our country. Everybody became of a common interest, she said. She said they supported the troops. Women started to go back to work. They left home. They built airplanes. She said her mother worked at a carbon plant and worked around the clock for things to put in military equipment. She said people were making money and they felt good about themselves. She said she didn't know about Anne Frank until after the war, when all the stories started to come out. And she said she read the Anne Frank diaries after the war. She said the news was, again, all censored and had a purpose to get an attitude toward a certain thing. She said it made everyone hate the Germans or hate the Japs at a certain time to fight a common enemy. She was also worrying about what teenagers were worrying about at that time. Now let's go back to when I was leaving the Anne Frank house. The images of the pictures on the walls and the actual cramped rooms in the house made me realize the magnitude of the Holocaust. I'm in awe. I can hardly speak. It's still cold outside. My fingers and toes are beginning to get chilled as I walk down the street in Amsterdam. The Nazi Empire exploited, murdered, and pillaged every country it occupied during World War II, including the Netherlands. The number of individual lives that were cut short was enormous, and still boggles minds today. We as a society are now slowly being able to fully understand the magnitude of this atrocious genocide that has affected so many individuals throughout our diverse world. Now I'll leave you with a few images of the Holocaust and the Anne Frank house. Thank you.